Have you ever wondered what would really happen if you just stopped fertilizing your garden? As gardeners, we're constantly told about the importance of feeding our plants, but what does that actually mean in practical terms? Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating 60-day challenge that will show you exactly what happens when you pit nature against nurture in your own backyard. This isn't just another gardening theory. It's a real-world experiment that you can replicate in your own garden space, whether you're working with a sprawling backyard or a modest container setup. By the end of this challenge, you'll have concrete visual evidence of how fertilization impacts plant growth, health, and productivity, giving you the knowledge to make informed decisions about your gardening practices. The foundation of any good experiment lies in creating identical conditions with one key variable. For this challenge, you'll need to select two garden plots that are as similar as possible in terms of sun exposure, soil drainage, and overall growing conditions. If you're working with raised beds, this becomes even easier as you can ensure identical soil composition from the start. When choosing your location, consider factors like morning sun patterns, afternoon shade, and wind exposure. These environmental conditions should be virtually identical between your two test plots to ensure that fertilizer presence or absence is the only significant difference affecting your plant's performance. The size of your plots doesn't need to be enormous. Even a 3 by 3 foot area for each plot will provide sufficient space for meaningful results. If you're working with containers, use identical pots with the same potting mix, placed in the same environmental conditions. The key is maintaining consistency in every aspect except your fertilization approach. Choosing the right crops for your challenge can make or break the effectiveness of your experiment. Fast-growing vegetables like lettuce, radishes, beans, or tomatoes work exceptionally well because they'll show visible differences within your 60-day time frame. Leafy greens are particularly valuable for this experiment because nutrient deficiencies manifest quickly and dramatically in their foliage. When planting, use identical seeds from the same packet or seedlings from the same source to eliminate genetic variables. Plant them on the same day at the same depth with identical spacing. This uniformity ensures that any differences you observe can be attributed to your fertilization treatment rather than other factors. Document your initial setup thoroughly with photos and measurements. Record the exact planting date, seed variety, planting depth, and spacing. This baseline documentation will become invaluable as you track changes throughout the challenge period. For your fertilized plot, maintain your regular feeding schedule using whatever fertilizer you normally rely on. Whether that's synthetic granules, liquid feeds, compost, or organic amendments. The key is consistency with your established routine. If you typically fertilize weekly with liquid fertilizer, continue that exact schedule. If you prefer slow-release granular fertilizers applied monthly, stick to that pattern. Your unfertilized plot receives absolutely no additional nutrients beyond what's naturally present in your soil. This means no compost, no fertilizer, no organic amendments. Nothing but water and whatever nutrients were already available when you planted. This stark contrast will create the dramatic differences you're seeking to document. Keep detailed records of every fertilizer application to the treated plot, including dates, products used, concentrations, and application methods. This documentation helps viewers understand exactly what creates the differences they'll observe in your results. The magic of this challenge unfolds gradually, with subtle changes becoming dramatic differences over time. During your first week, differences may be minimal, but keen observers will notice slightly different growth rates even in these early stages. Fertilized plants often exhibit a deeper green color and slightly more vigorous growth from the very beginning. By week 2, the gap begins to widen noticeably. Fertilized plants typically show accelerated growth, with larger leaves and more robust stems. Meanwhile, unfertilized plants may begin showing the first signs of nutrient stress, particularly if your soil wasn't exceptionally rich to begin with. Watch for subtle yellowing in older leaves, which often indicates nitrogen deficiency beginning to manifest. The 3rd and 4th weeks usually reveal the most dramatic differences. Fertilized plants often display lush dark green foliage with rapid vertical growth and robust branching. In contrast, unfertilized plants may show significant yellowing, particularly in lower leaves, slower growth rates, and generally less vigorous appearance. This is when your challenge results become most visually compelling. Throughout the documentation process, take photographs from consistent angles and lighting conditions. Weekly measurements of plant height, leaf count, and overall size provide quantifiable data to complement your visual observations. Note any signs of pest or disease pressure, as stressed plants often become more susceptible to these challenges. The dramatic differences you'll observe aren't random, they reflect fundamental plant biology and nutrition principles. When plants lack sufficient nutrients, they redirect resources from growth to survival, resulting in the smaller yellowing plants you'll see in your unfertilized plot. Nitrogen deficiency typically appears first, causing lower leaves to yellow as the plant relocates nitrogen to support new growth. Phosphorus deficiency may manifest as purpling in stems and leaves, while potassium deficiency often appears as browning or burning along leaf edges. These visual symptoms tell the story of plant stress and resource allocation, providing educational value beyond simple growth comparisons. Fertilized plants with abundant nutrient access can focus energy on rapid growth, flower production, and fruit development. This results in the lush, productive plants you'll observe in your treated plot. Understanding these mechanisms helps you appreciate why fertilization makes such a dramatic difference in garden productivity. After 60 days, the side-by-side comparison of your plots will likely be striking. However, the most valuable insights come from understanding why these differences occurred and what they mean for your gardening practices. The unfertilized plot isn't necessarily a failure, it demonstrates what plants can achieve with existing soil nutrients alone. Consider the sustainability implications of your results. While fertilized plants clearly performed better, the unfertilized plot may still have produced acceptable results, particularly if your soil was initially rich in organic matter. This information helps you make informed decisions about fertilization frequency and intensity. The challenge also highlights the importance of soil building through organic matter addition, cover cropping, and other sustainable practices. These approaches can reduce dependence on external fertilizer inputs while maintaining productive gardens. The insights gained from this challenge should inform your future gardening decisions. If the difference between plots was dramatic, it confirms the value of your current fertilization program. If the unfertilized plot performed reasonably well, you might experiment with reduced fertilization or focus more on soil building practices. Consider conducting follow-up experiments with different fertilizer types, application rates, or organic alternatives. Each variation provides additional learning opportunities and helps you refine your gardening approach. Share your results with fellow gardeners and encourage them to conduct their own versions of this challenge. Different soil types, climates, and crop selections will yield varying results, contributing to our collective understanding of garden nutrition. This 60-day challenge represents just one of many experiments you can conduct in your garden laboratory. Consider testing different mulching strategies, watering techniques, or pest management approaches using similar side-by-side comparison methods. Each experiment builds your understanding and improves your gardening success. Document everything thoroughly and share your results with the gardening community. Your experiences contribute valuable real-world data that helps fellow gardeners make informed decisions about their own practices. Remember that gardening is an ongoing learning process, and challenges like this one provide concrete evidence to guide your decisions. Whether you're a beginning gardener or have decades of experience, there's always something new to discover through systematic observation and experimentation. If this challenge inspired you to start experimenting in your own garden, make sure to subscribe to Smart Garden for more evidence-based gardening content. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who might benefit from understanding the real impact of fertilization on plant growth. Together, we can build a community of informed, successful gardeners who base their practices on observation and experimentation rather than guesswork.